Hello, I'm Ying, founder and chief executive of Dynamo. I'm going to be talking about lessons from lockdown and how to survive and thrive in these challenging times and make the most of new opportunities within the buy-to-let market. From a personal perspective, I've certainly learned that I can't cut my own hair, and my wife doesn't like doing it either, hence why it's looking like this. I'm a very competitive sportsman, which usually involves running or team games. And I actually have really enjoyed taking the leisurely walks with my family. However, you don't want to find out too much about my personal tips. You're here to find out about your business tips. So I've got 8 business tips. And 8 is a really lucky number in Chinese, so I'm hoping you'll find them useful. Number 1 is to plan and prepare. I think nobody could have truly planned or prepared these unprecedented times. You know, who would have thought not just our industry, not just our nation, but the entire world was going to go and shut down for 3 whole months due to a virus that purportedly started from bats. It's just, unprecedented. However, you could have planned for disasters and how your business would have coped in an event of a disaster of any kind. This is commonly known as a business continuity plan. What this has hopefully magnified for us all, and it certainly should have for you, is that it shouldn't just be a tick list requirement for compliance. This absolutely has to be a fundamental working document that you've got to use all the time, because we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. At Dynamo, we were lucky and had the foresight to ensure that we not only had a robust plan, but we had aggressively tested it. This is clearly important as well, from ensuring that staff had the relevant equipment at home and ensuring that the servers had the suitable bandwidth to enable us to work from home in the mass. Technology really has to be our ally, and we need to ensure that in the event of a bad event happening, whether it's a virus or whether it's something else, that we're able to keep operating, because without operating, we have no business. Fortunately for us, we were allowed to work seamlessly from home with a minimal drop of productivity, which has enabled us to keep going and keep our business flourishing. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Client contact. Without clients, we have no business. Having survived and thrived in 2008 off the back of the credit crunch, one of the biggest learns was that during challenging times, clients need advice, they need support, and they need engagement. As mortgage brokers, this is where we have to ensure we're not just order takers, but we need to advise, and we have to add value to our clients and landlords. Landlords are business people. So after their first thought, which is clearly going to be survival when this event happened, the next thought is, okay, well, how can I make money? They'll be looking to expand their property portfolios. And we have to make sure that they're on the most cost-effective rates and they can get the best possible deals to give them a maximum return on the money that they've invested. So from a client contact perspective, find a way to be personal with your customers and connect with them on a human level. The third one may come as pretty obvious, but it surprises me how it's maybe not as obvious as it should be to many people. Hard work. Working hard doesn't just mean working long hours through the night, waking up early. It's about working smart and working efficiently. These next 12 months are without doubt going to be amongst the hardest for landlords and indeed businesses and indeed the general public at large. As furlough and government support comes to an end, the expected unemployment that will rise, and therefore costs are going to rise as revenues fall. Tenants are going to struggle to pay their rents, especially if they come from the travel or hospitality industry, which many renters will often come from. How are landlords going to deal with this? How are you going to help landlords to deal with this? You're going to have to reach out to customers, give them the best possible advice from a mortgage perspective. And to do this, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves higher than ever before to ensure that you stay ahead of your competitors. You get what you work for, not what you wish for. Demonstrate knowledge. I often say to my team, you've got to demonstrate knowledge to gain credibility. In the last 3 months, there's been one constant within criteria, and that is there has been no constant. Criteria has changed up and down, left and right on a daily basis. LTVs are changing, use of AVMs, lenders' treatments of payment holiday, how are we going to assess furloughed and self-employed workers given the current environment? And it's imperative, absolutely imperative, that we have regular dialogue with our lender partners. As the market begins to open up, cases which may not have fitted during lockdown suddenly may have a home. And we have to be on that straight away so we can capitalize on the opportunity and again serve and help our landlords and clients. Broker desks, broker desk, broker desk. Dynamo broker desks preferably, but certainly it's imperative that you align yourself and work closely with clubs, packages, and specialist distributors to really ensure that you have a thorough knowledge of the whole market and the criteria, so ensure you can place business to incrementally increase the levels that you're writing. As long as lenders can get the funding, which has been a challenge during lockdown, and the securitization market returns, thankfully we've had 2 within the last couple of weeks, at, my understanding is at reasonable pricing, then specialist lending will really come into its own over the coming weeks and months as cases and people and their incomes become more complex and harder to decipher. Knowledge is power. Manage your cash flow. This is tip number 5. Whether you're a business owner or an employee, when the more autumn comes, that's going to be the tipping point. As I've mentioned, costs are going to increase as staff return from furlough. Suppliers are going to be less lenient with your payments. And at the very same time, the revenues will fall as completions from applications written during lockdown come to fruition. So, it's really important that you manage this and you're aware of it and you forecast where your business is. That doesn't matter if you're a business or whether you're an individual. A forecast doesn't have to apply to a corporate entity. You should be able to manage your pipeline and see how your incomes are going to come in and how they correlate with your costs. It's vital in this current climate that you preserve cash and manage your cash flow. This is a fundamental accounting concept which is integral to survive. One of the sayings I learned during my very early days in accounting and finance as I did my degree and my professional qualification was, cash is king. We need to embrace all channels of communication. The very fact that I am now addressing you guys within a video conference shows how in a very short space of time, the world is evolving, the world is changing. Landlords and clients are going to be hesitant to meet you face to face, even as lockdown restrictions ease. Embracing technologies to use video calls such as Teams, Zoom, Skype, it's really important. The efficiency gains that we've all seen has been one of the big positives from the lockdown. Use that time saved on travel to be more productive so you can drive more business while reaching out to your customers and clients. Having the flexibility and adaptability to be able to evolve yourself, to communicate with your customers in whatever forum that they think is best is imperative to ensure you capture every possible type of business that you possibly can. Communication works for those who work at it. The 7th one is one that's very close to my heart and one that if for those of you that are connected or follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see some of the things that we've tried to do at Dynamo that have helped inspire the teams and keep us sane during this challenging lockdown period. Whilst many of us have seamlessly transitioned from work to home because we've got a nice office and a nice desk with a nice chair, there are very many that have struggled sleeping 8 hours and getting up and working on the edge of their bed with a laptop with a dodgy internet connection. Clearly, we need to do all we can to ensure that our minds stay agile and that our mental and physical health is in a good place. So it's imperative that you take your annual leave. For example, just because you're working at home, you still need to take a time out, reset and take your annual leave. Go for walks, do some exercise, go and watch movies with the family. These are things I've certainly found have been immensely helpful during this period of lockdown. It's also important to regularly check in with your peers, your colleagues, other staff, and indeed others within our industry. It's important that they don't feel abandoned, that they feel engaged, that we still feel connected. That will ensure we're all productive and we make the most of the opportunities we can during this clearly challenging time. When you're doing Zoom calls, liven things up, do a quiz, play games, fancy dress, we do a treasure hunt, have a virtual beer. All of these things are a good way to keep us engaged, to help inspire the teams and not just have monotonous, I wake up, I go to my office at home, I work from home, then I go back, have food at the dinner table, go back to bed, and repeat. That will show its toll after a period of time. So, let's ensure that we really inspire the teams, inspire the people we work with, inspire our peers and with those within the industry. And that will give us the energy to make sure we can keep surviving during this tough, challenging time. And one of the last points I want to say, which I feel as a leader of my business and within the industry, is don't forget to say thank you. They're two very simple words which can go an awful long way. And I think it's really important that we use it to show our appreciation, because everybody has certainly pulled together to really make this whole transitional period over the last 3 months during lockdown the success, as much of a success as it possibly could be. Act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. And the last thing is positivity and mindset. This is something that it doesn't matter whether it's a lesson from lockdown or just general good business and working practice. You need to have a positive and good mental mindset. With interest rates at historic lows and the volatility of stock market, investors will continue to look at bricks and mortars for a safe haven for their money. Landlords will often go against the grain, and when they feel there's a time to buy property to make more money, they'll do that. And quite often that's against the time when normal convention would say maybe now is not the time to buy property with the uncertainty in the marketplace. So you've got to be ensured that you're in a good position to be able to scour the market and get the very best outcome for your customers as they look to expand their property portfolios. And I want to finish by saying one of my favorite quotes, which hopefully will resonate with many of you and has never resonated more than in the current climate. And that is, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Thank you very much.